All right. So this is the second ed puzzle in our TDA practice and review before our test on Tuesday. So far, in the first ed puzzle, we did a lot of work. Actually, we did number one, where it says read the prompt 3 times. We did number two, where you have to unpack the prompt so you know what to think about as you read, and then you know what to write about after you've done the reading. And then we read the text and we highlighted evidence that you can use in your essay. Those 3 steps you should be doing on Tuesday on the test, okay? The next step we're going to do today is we're going to make the organizer. So you should have a piece of blank paper at your desk and a pencil. If you don't have those tools, go ahead and get those together now. And we've done this before. Okay, you're going to fold your blank paper and label the structure of the TDA essay using this model. So you're going to turn your paper lengthwise, long ways, and you're going to fold the 2 sides in like doors. Okay, if you need help with this, just raise your hand. I can come by and help you fold it. And it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Some of you are perfectionists. If it's not completely perfect, don't worry about that. And taking your pencil, I want you to write the structures that I have here, the labels for your organizer. Notice the left-hand side is the introduction. You'll have the hook. The hook is your first sentence that kind of grabs the reader's attention. Then TAG stands for title, author, genre. This is where you're going to introduce the text that you're going to be analyzing. So for this article, of course, the title is How to Raise a Hippo. The author's name is at the very end. It's Tracy Callaghan. And then the genre is what type of text is it? We know this is nonfiction. You don't have to fill all that in today. Just write TAG. But I want you to understand what that acronym stands for. And it's always important to introduce the text first. And then your thesis is kind of the main points that you're going to make in your essay. Okay, the main points. So you don't get into the evidence yet. No evidence in the introduction. The evidence comes in the body, and that's that big area in the middle of your organizer. It's big for a reason because you need to put in a lot of information. You need to have 3 pieces of evidence and then analysis, which is your original thinking about the evidence, at least 2 sentences for each piece of evidence. So if you count that up, if the evidence is 1 sentence each, that's 1, 2, 3, and then 2 sentences for each piece of evidence, that's 2, 4, 6, that's 9 sentences minimum. Minimum. You should have at least 9 sentences. Just minimum. Of course, I would love for you to add more and more analysis, the better, because that's what the judges or the people that score your papers are looking for. And then finally, the little rectangle on the right is your conclusion. And it's always good to start your conclusion with a summary. Okay, just kind of remind the reader what you wrote about in your essay. You might want to go back to your thesis sentence and just kind of rephrase that to remind the reader what your main point was for your essay. Any closing comments, any personal comments you have about the text and how the structures really help the reader understand it, because that is what the question is asking. Always go back to that prompt, making sure you're answering that prompt's question. And then the clincher sentence, that very last sentence, is it's kind of like a way that makes it feel finished. You can end it with a question sometimes. You can end it with a statement, or you could pull a quote from the text. Something that kind of wraps everything up and makes the whole TDA feel finished. I call that the clincher sentence. So hopefully you've been labeling and folding as I've been going through this. If you need more time to finish labeling, take that time now. And then I want you to write your name on the back, up in the corner somewhere, and then hand this in to me. It goes into the basket at the front table. I'm going to hold on to this until you need it for tomorrow. So just turn in this. You get credit for following the directions today and turning this in as a completion grade. It's a 100 if I see your organizer just kind of mapped out just like this. Now, the next part of this review is I want you to look at some example essays. Okay, you get to be the judge. You get to decide what score these essays should get. Okay, now how do you know what scores to assign? Well, the rubric, this is the same rubric, by the way, that the people who read your essay are going to use. There are 4 numbers. We have a 4, which means exceeded. That means the writing is very clear. There's a strong introduction, a lot of evidence, a lot of analysis talking about that evidence. There's the good vocabulary, very few spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, capitalization, or punctuation mistakes. So you can kind of skim through that column for number 4. This is way beyond average. It's hard to get a 4. It's not easy. You have to really try hard, but you can do this. Now, a 3 means it met. Yes, it met all of the qualifications that you should have. It has all points, the whole prompt is answered. There's a clear introduction, a clear body with some development and some evidence and analysis, and a conclusion. There's transitions. Transition words are like in conclusion, or on the other hand, or in addition to. Those really help smooth out your ideas. The ideas are supported by evidence, details, quotes, facts from the article. There's some good vocabulary, and there's some errors, but there are not too many errors to really distract you from the essay. The 2 is approaching. That's not quite up to what we're looking for. So the writing addresses part of the prompt, or the organization is kind of weak. It's not very clear. There might be a missing introduction or a missing conclusion. There might not be very much evidence, not much analysis, your original thinking about the evidence. The vocabulary might be more like an elementary, like maybe a 2nd or a 3rd grade vocabulary, and there's some errors in grammar, punctuation, and spelling. Now, a 1 is did not meet, okay? And this is if it's not focused, if it doesn't answer, if it's off topic, if it doesn't answer the prompt, if there's no evidence, if there's no analysis about the evidence, if there's no really precise vocabulary seen in the essay, um, and if there's lots of errors in spelling, capitalization, punctuation. So those are the 4 categories: a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1. And notice at the very bottom where it says non-score codes, I want you to see there's a few of them. If it's turned in blank, there's no score. If you refuse to write the essay, you get no score. If they think you might have copied, it gets no score. Unreadable, it shouldn't be unreadable because you're going to be typing your essay, but that's if you're handwriting, but you won't be doing that. Another language. Insufficient means just not enough. There's just not much to read. Now, the last one I want you to see is off topic. That's why it's so important to unpack that prompt and to read it 3 times. So if you're off topic, no matter how good the essay is, you might not get a score for it. So always check that prompt. So I'm going to let you read the examples. The prompt is in blue, just to remind you what the question is. And on the back of your You Be the Judge paper, you're going to find the rubric, so you can use the rubric to help you determine what score you think this essay should get. And on the front, this is essay F, sample essay example F. I want you to assign it a 4, 3, 2, or 1 using the rubric and tell me why you gave it that score. And use the rubric to help you answer that question. Was it missing something? Was it perfect? You tell me why you think it deserves that score. And you're going to do that for all of the example essays, and they each have a different letter and they spell Fiona. So as you go through, you're just going to keep adding a score from the rubric and why you gave it the score. And when we are all done, I'm going to tell you what I think the answers are, and see how close you were to the exact answers. So go ahead and do example F, and when you're done, we'll move on to the next example. All right, this is example I. Okay, remember the prompt, read this example, use the rubric, and assign a score for this essay. This is example O. Now this is on 2 slides. So I'm going to let you read this slide first, and then when you're done, you'll read the next slide. The prompt is in the corner. Read this part of the essay first. Now here's the second part of the essay. Finish the essay, and then when you're done, I want you to assign a score using the rubric and explain why you chose the score. This is example N. Read this essay. Using the rubric, assign a score, 4, 3, 2, or 1, and explain why you chose the score for this essay. And then here's the A essay, example A. Read this essay, assign a score, and explain why. All right. Now we are going to check to see how you did. So example F I scored it a 1. It was basically copied right out of the text. It's all summary. There's no analysis. It's not talking about text structures at all. It's just a summary of the article. So it doesn't answer the question at all. So if you write your essay and it's just a bunch of evidence that you've copied, that's not going to cut it. You have to talk about the evidence and how it answers the question. The I essay is a category. The score is a 1. Now this is just all personal connections. It's all about the writer's life, and it just is personal. It's interesting, but it doesn't answer the question. There's no text evidence, so it's not going to get a very high score at all because it's not answering the question, which is about the text structures. Okay, O is the next essay. Now this one was a 4, and this is the one that was on 2 slides. It was long, and your essay should be about that long. And if it needs to be that long in order for you to get an introduction, body, and conclusion with enough evidence and analysis. Thorough analysis of the text. It got the top score. It was excellent. It was beyond just average for an average 6th grader. Now the N got a 3. A 3 is not bad at all. A 3 it means that this writer met the goal. It wasn't exceeds, but it was still met. There's clear analysis with just enough evidence. Didn't go beyond what they needed to get to a 4, but it was just enough. And the A essay got a 2. There was just not enough analysis and not enough talking about the evidence. And yeah, I said text evidence needed to show imagery. I'm not sure why I put that, but this just needed more analysis, talking about the evidence. And again, the analysis is your original thinking about the evidence, the most important part of your essay. That's what the 2 people who read your essay, that's what they're going to really be looking for. All right. So once you've finished you be the judge sheet, make sure your name is on that, and you're going to turn that in for a completion grade. If you turn it in, you get a nice 100. And that's the end of this section of the TDA review.